Alright there, so what we're going to do is start a new virtual breadboard, and we're just going to create a simple circuit using some LEDs and some wires and a battery today, and we'll have a look at, plus another component. I'll talk about that in a moment. So when you've created your Autodesk account, and we want to start a new project, you click on the new button, and I've actually uploaded my photo here. Please don't feel you need to. I like to do that. So we're going to click on the add new. Now I'm using Firefox. Firefox is very good at enabling all the features. Sometimes other browsers, the features don't work so well. Okay, so my recommendation is using Firefox. So click on new, come down to a new electronics lab, and depending on your internet connection, it'll take a little time to load. Here it comes. It's not too bad normally. There we go. And we start with the breadboard. Okay, so we have here, I'm not going to worry about these items up here at the moment, but you can see it's an unnamed breadboard. You can click on that and change the name. We'll do that towards the end. But we've got the code editor, and we click on that. You can see here we don't have any code. And at the moment we don't need that feature because we're only going to be wiring up a simple circuit. So let's get into some components. Now, once you click on components, you can see down here in the bottom we have a list of components populating the window. Okay, you can look at the different sets. So you've got the Arduino basic kit and all the rest of it, or if we leave it on all components, the all component grid, it shows you every single item on here. So we are going to need at least one LED, and we'll start first. All right, so you can just click on the item and it will appear. And that's now dragging around. I'm not holding the mouse button in. Let's just put that over here for a moment. This one here, you can see it neatly matches the holes, and you'll notice the terminology for anode and cathode. Okay, so anode being the longer of the two wires, and a cathode is the shorter one. Okay, so don't get too complicated with it yet. Let's add a battery. We need a battery for some power source at the moment because we're not using the Arduino. Okay, all right. Now you can hold down. Let me just work on this one. Okay, so what I'm using here is my zoom in and out button on. Just have a look at that one. Okay, I'll work on that one and explain that one to you. Okay, so back to my components list. So we've got a battery, I've got an LED. Actually, let's just start with that for the moment. Let's put those components away. Now, wires are simply a click and a click. Okay, so you can see here I have a positive being red, and I'm going to click and add that to this section here. Now on our virtual breadboard, it's really easy to add it into the same hole or pocket as the LED. On the real breadboard, it's a little bit harder, so we tend to put it one step away, one hole away. Now remember when we talked about this, we've got a, and you can see it's highlighted beautifully here, this green line going all the way through here, this is a power rail, and that's a negative and a positive, but you can use it for whatever you like. Likewise, for these down here, you can see we've got A, B, C, D, E, and 1, 5, and so on. So it starts 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and it's counting them up. So you've got up to 60 on here. The reason they've got these letters and numbers is for referencing. So if you were going to explain to someone how you wired your document up, you could literally reference it by number um, and letter as a position, a bit like playing battleships. So I've got my wire. It's green at the moment, so I don't like green. Let's go with red. So how do I change that? Well, if you look over here at the breadboard wire, its default color is green. I'm going to change that to red while I'm highlighting on that. Okay, so now the other thing you can do, okay, so going to, what I did there was I've added a joint so I can bend my wire. Okay, so I could bend it like this and click off it, and you can see that. So all I did was I double clicked on the wire. Make sure when you move close to the wire, it has that sort of blue outline around it. If you double click on it, you get an extra bending part. Okay, so if you click on that point there and hit the delete key, it removes it. So if I want that to go back to a straight line, I click on my elbow point here, hit the delete key, and it goes back to that. If I want the whole wire gone, click on the wire, make sure it's highlighted, hit delete, and it goes. Right. But I don't at the moment. I want it to go from positive to there to there. Once again, change that to red. So, and as you can probably guess, I want to go from negative to the negative side of things here, and I want to change that to black, negative to negative. Okay, so I have got my first simple circuit. It's going to go positive to the positive connection here on the breadboard, negative to the negative. Now I can, and you'll be going, well, that's a bit hard to see, Mr. Eckworth. If I click on my battery and drag it down here out of the way, okay, I can see that. I can also rotate the battery. Now the battery is selected because it's got the blue outline. So let's click that round here. Makes it a little bit easier. I probably should have moved that around a bit, hey? But anyhow, that's fine. So nothing's happening at the moment. You're going, well, it doesn't work. Well, let's have a look. I have nothing happening because I haven't started the simulation. Remember, this is not a real battery. You can't really hurt yourself or power anything. It's a simulation. So let's hit start and keep an eye on the LED, and bang, there you go. We blew up the LED, and that's the reason we use this, because the LED has been destroyed. If it was in your kit and you wired that up, why? Well, it's a 9-volt battery. There's too much power going into this little LED. So let's stop the simulation, go back, and let us do this simulation all over again, adding an extra component. So I'm going to come back up to component, going to add a resistor. Now a resistor, as I think I've mentioned to you before, is a bit like a tap on a hose. The resistor slows down the rate of not water but electricity or power coming from our battery. So I'm going to close that component list down again, and let's run it again. Now you'll notice something different here. I'll talk about that in a moment. I'm going to run the resistor, the wire to there. Now that's our positive, red, and let's run our negative to the negative. Now I have to click that there, and that's black. Let me explain to you what I did there. Now, the red goes to this hole, which as you can see runs along and touches the resistor, and the resistor jumps from one side here to the other. This gap in the middle, okay, is like a bridge. They call it it's like a gully, isn't it? These wires don't connect to each other. But when you have one point here and one point on the other side, they connect, and therefore it goes right through to the LED. And as you can see, we've got positive, think of a loop, all right, going to the resistor, touching the cathode, coming around to the anode, all the way back here, and we have a loop or a circuit, and that's what we're after. Okay, let's start our simulation again. Okay, what's going on? Nothing's happening. Let's see if we can figure out what's going wrong. Okay, so what's going wrong? Well, remember we talked about the anode and the cathode. The anode is the positive connection and the cathode is the negative connection for a LED. Okay, so let's stop our simulation and let's change our wires around. Now, let me start that back up again. If I tried to click on my wire during the simulation, I cannot move the wires around. So I have to stop the simulation, and let me just, now that I've stopped it, I can move my wires around. I've clicked on the point here. Okay, so there we go. Let's, let me just hang on a second. Okay, so I'm just moving these wires out of the way. Alright, so let's put the positive on the anode side and the negative on the cathode side. Alright, and let's try running our simulation again. And there you go, we have a light coming on our LED. It's not blowing up, okay, and it's getting enough power. What's going on there is positive coming through here, going through the resistor and back. And you might be thinking, well, hang on a minute, shouldn't you put the resistor on the positive side. It doesn't really matter with resistors. It works, yes you can. All right, the resistors, it's all about the rate of flow of power going through that, so it won't matter. Okay, all right, so give that a try. See if you can get a couple of different LEDs to combine together. One last thing before we stop there. I'm going to stop my simulation again. If I don't like red, I can change that to any color I like. Let's go with a nice blue color. And I can also call it a name just for my sake, okay? If I click on that, I'll know what I'm talking about. Okay, start my simulation up again, and there you go, I've got a nice blue light. All right, let's see how you guys go with that one.